Our seventh school feature today is St. Joseph's College, where the Pumas tied for second in the GLVC last year. They were 5-3 in the conference, 8-3 overall. In the GLVC preseason poll just released today, the coaches have picked St. Joseph's to finish third in the conference. Daniel Day is the new head coach of the Pumas program, and we're joined today by all GLVC senior running back Braxton Shelton and senior defensive back Jamil Scott. Welcome, fellas. Glad you could be here today for this GLVC kickoff. Coach, if you would, let's talk a little bit just in general about the Pumas this year. What are you expecting?
Yeah, looking at our team, I think in some aspects, especially the defense and the secondary, a lot of talent. I mean, a lot of guys now. We're young, especially in the back end. With the exception of Jamil, and we have a senior cornerback, Tracy. But they're very, very talented. I think the biggest thing we talk about, especially defensively for these guys, is just learning from mistakes quickly, and understanding that you got to grow up. They don't have anything behind them; they just have to grow up quickly. Offensively, most of our pieces really are back, with the exception of the offensive line. It's really where we lost 4 starters, and then our senior tight end Tyler Callahan. So we have a lot of our pieces back offensively, so we'll look a little bit different, with just how we're attacking teams. But you're going to see the same smash mouth mentality that we've always carried. Smash mouth,
and that leads me right to the next thing. Let's talk about your ground game on offense. And this year, you've got Braxton in the backfield, as you said. Kobe Cook will be joining him as well. Wade Bertrand is under center again this year. How about that offense? So let's get a little bit more specific about that.
Yeah, I think you look. Wade is a kid. He started, I want to say 4 games for us last year, where he's a dynamic football player. He's a good quarterback, but even more important than that, he's a great playmaker, and that's something for him that truly adds an element to an offense that you don't necessarily anticipate. With the big plays that he can make even when something breaks down. So very, very excited to see with him truly developing into that role, and him knowing going forward that he's, there's really no secret that he's the guy. It's exciting to see him take that role and really run with it. So I think he's really the biggest piece that obviously, especially with this big guy to my left, we're gonna pound the ball, and that's something we're always gonna do. But I think Wade really adds another element to our offense.
Braxton, let's talk a little bit about you coming in as a junior this year. You carried the ball as a sophomore 231 times, 1,280 yards, led the conference. And that got you your second straight all-conference honor in the GLVC. Saw you here at the kickoff last year, and you told me you're sitting in the other seat. Yeah. So I don't know why you'd want to change your luck, but you did. How about this event? Now, you've been here 2 years. What do you think of it?
It's a great event, man. I know we were talking last night, and a lot of the other conferences in the nation, they don't do something like this. So it's good to see the GLVC doing something like this, to get the teams involved and social media involved and kind of bring a fan atmosphere to this.
You said your mom's watching today. I want to say hi to her real quick.
Hey, Mom.
Well, as a 2-time all-conference player, you get that right. So,
thank you.
Coach, let's talk now a little bit about defense, including the guy sitting next to you is Jamil Scott. There are a host of other Pumas who obviously are impactful players. Take us through your defense a little bit, if you would, please.
Yeah, I think, as I said, Jamil be fifth-year senior for us. He's kind of running things in the back end as far as communication. Tracy Whitehead's a senior corner for us, and I'd be remiss not to mention our big guy in the middle, Joel Wembley, who is a pretty special player. And anybody that, if you don't know Joel, I'll tell you in my perspective as a coach, this spring, seeing his development as a leader. He was voted unanimously as a captain, as well as both these guys sitting next to me. But Joel's a guy that brought an amazing amount of energy to the defense, even in spring ball. And seeing him, becoming a senior, you see a light at the end of the tunnel. sometimes that can change some people, and it did for him, and he's a guy that we're really looking forward to being a leader and obviously making some big plays for us.
Okay, Jamil, have you changed now as a fifth-year senior?
Yes, I've grown up. I've matured. Just being from when I came in 2-8 to 8-3, there was a philosophy put in place that we took and ran with it. We had to cut some fat, cut some guys that weren't buying into the things that made us into the program that we are today. And it's done some wonders. We got a new head coach. I'm excited to get on the road and do things. Like I mentioned earlier when I was talking to Coach Day, he did a lot of the inspiring before our games. Last year. And, it gets you fired up. Like you said, we're a smash mouth team.
Right.
We go out there and we get after people. And it's just fun to watch, us pound people. It's not a lot of quarterbacks that, get out that game, just feeling, I feel good, with the people we have. So,
there are some quarterbacks here today. They're not going to be anxious to hear you say that. Hey, 9 pass breakups last year. You had an interception, and as Coach said, you and Tracy Whitehead pretty formidable at those corners.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Tracy, great player. He's grown a lot mentally, emotionally, physically, and everything. He's ready to go. We have another safety, Jesse Porch, who played a lot his freshman year. That was the year I redshirted. And he's ecstatic. He didn't get to play last year, so you're going to expect a lot out of us, just communicating and making some plays. We grew a lot in spring ball. We were able to, make a lot of more plays on the ball, especially being a high safety. When you're controlling the middle of the field, you have to be there because with the things that we do, that's where, we can get attacked at times.
Coach Day, even though you're the head coach, I know you've got a special place in your heart for special teams.
Yeah.
And you've worked with them in the past. What are your thoughts on your special teams units going into this season? Gavin Voss and Marcin Golick are both back at their respective kicking and punting spots.
Yeah, I think for us that's an area. Honestly, we're pretty fortunate. Gavin is probably the biggest pressure kicker that I've ever been around. He has made some phenomenal big-time kicks for us. He has a big leg. And, coming into his senior year, he's a guy that can really change the field for us. And Marcin's a kid for us that, you ask these guys, one of the hardest working kids on the team, who's the, weight room warrior, workout warrior. It's our punter and Marcin. And when we did team voting for captains, he was almost, as a specialist being named a captain. That's pretty special.
Says a lot about him.
So he's a kid that honestly we rely a lot on, that we don't have to necessarily take some chances that maybe other teams do, knowing he can change that field and change that game for you.
You guys, 4 of your first 5 are on the road. Who made this schedule for you? What are you doing to prepare for those 4 out of 5 on the road?
Yeah, I think for us, and maybe the players can speak on it as well. But I think these guys enjoy road games almost more than home games. I think it's, an environment where you kind of feel like for a day and a half you're a professional football player, where it's on the road, you're on the bus, meals catered in, and we try to really take care of these guys as far as being on the road with their schedules. So the only thing that I don't like is the wasted time. But other than that, I think our guys really enjoy playing on the road.
Spoken like a true coach. And we thank you, Coach, for joining us today. Braxton and Jamil, thank you both as well. Best of luck to you in the coming year. And fans, we have 3 more special guests to go, including the number 1 team to be revealed in the GLVC preseason poll. We're down to Truman State and Indianapolis. Who's going to be the number 1 team preseason? We'll tell you here in a moment. You're watching the GLVC Football Kickoff on the GLVC Sports Network, where champions are crowned.